This is Past the Rock.
Earlier tonight, The Rock was talking to a couple of athletes who some of the Rock's fans may know. Two guys by the name of Mike Modano and Bret Hall.
So, cheer me up, babe.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Yeah. Okay, no, that sounds good because I could hear Caesar when I was in the longer section without the headphones.
I'm a loud guy. What can I say?
That's fine. That's good for me. I'll take the loud for sure.
Never had any trouble projecting my voice.
Oh man, my favorite sports team lost. This has no real effect on my life and it shouldn't ruin my day. But I'm gonna f***ing let it.
What the Rock is cooking!
Recording live from three locations. This is Past the Rock. I'm Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by two great men, Caesar, aka LCs.
Fly Eagles fly, baby.
And Jacob, aka Bethke.
What if I continue with the quote-unquote great man history and talk about Herbert Hoover today?
Yeah, outside of the Transformers movies and his dam, I'm not really sure I know much about Herbie.
There's I think Leonardo DiCaprio made a really bad movie on accident about him. I've never seen the movie, but I've heard it was not great. But yeah, no, we're not going to talk about Hoover. But I have been, continuing on my path of watching quote unquote, and I'm going to say quote unquote great men, because I don't know how many people understood that I'm not promoting war criminals on this podcast. I just wanted to clarify that. And
fair.
Oh, and it's like an older DiCaprio, not even like young DiCaprio.
Yeah, this was more recent, but he's done a lot to make up for
Clint Eastwood.
it.
Clint Eastwood thing.
Say less.
Yeah, okay.
Say less. Yeah. Well, it happened. Hoover, not awesome dude. Not an awesome dude. I'm gonna summarize it.
No
right
way.
There. He did some stuff, and he might be one of the most legendary pieces of shit in American history.
I like that.
That is a tall task to go on that list.
Exactly. And I'm not even trying to exaggerate. Like, he might be in that top 10. He's Steph Curry a little bit, where he's like, people are underrating him, but like realistically, that body of work is there.
That's impressive in a terrible way, but
all right.
Well,
that's a good transition.
On that note, yeah. There's
speaking of domestic terrorism, let's talk about MetLife Field.
We're not quite there. Yeah. Good luck.
Oh shit. Okay.
So yeah, a fun week. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, week one of the NFL, pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But before we get to all that, we're gonna run through some of the other big stuff happening in sports, especially here locally. The Texas Rangers not dead yet.
We're not dead yet.
Heading into today, which is Wednesday the 13th, we were a game back of we got back ahead of Seattle, and I think we're a game back at Toronto or something like that.
I think we're tied with Toronto
again.
I know that
confused.
I know that the Rangers are the second team in the wild card.
They are finishing that. They are hopefully going to finish that game if the next two innings hold out as the winners of another game.
Right. So after that disastrous Astros crap, we started to string some wins together against some not as good teams, but now we're in a 4-game stint against the Blue Jays, and it's looking good so far. Both first two games, we're pretty much in charge of them. Obviously, we got some bad news with Max Scherzer's out for the year. Very unlikely for the postseason.
What's new though? Right?
I would be. I'd be shocked. I think he got the same injury that Corey Kluber had after his perfect half inning here. So he's gonna be out for a bit, which sucks for him. I know he's one of those dudes that is really into it. He's definitely not just playing because he's good at it. He's playing because he likes it. So that sucks to see. But yeah, Rangers are playing well. I was actually at the game on Saturday. We'll get into that just a little bit, but I got to see a win. We got the MLB debut of Evan Carter, who is pretty much the top Ranger prospect since Profar. Probably maybe even ranks higher than, maybe not as high as Profar did. Hard to say.
because I remember Profar being the #1 overall ranked.
Yeah, for sure. But he came in and he's done great so far. He's hit a home run. He got a first hit in his first game. I think I saw him get a walk. He's been stolen, but he had 2 stolen bases in his first 2 games that he played. He's been fun. That's the future right there. I don't even think he's going to be on the playoff roster. I guess it'll all depend on injuries and stuff, but so that's cool to see. It's a nice little preview into what the next few years could be. Once we're able to focus on the pitching staff, not have to worry about all the rest of the lineup stuff.
Fair, and
They
Big
should
Daddy
still
hung
get
on the
on
way back.
Too.
He should
Yeah,
be
put
back,
put Evan Carter on the playoff roster. Let the kid play in
I
some
agree.
high leverage baseball.
Hey, and keep 32.
And yeah, he might.
Keep 32.
He might.
That's a
I just
hashtag
don't
we
know.
should start. Keep 32.
Keep 32.
We got to
that'll
rewrite
stick.
history. Let's go on the Reddit. Let's do this. We can't. Just someone needs to tell him he's a little young. He may not know. So hey, bro,
We
like
don't need to whitewash Josh out of here. It's fine.
I'm just saying.
Let Josh be Josh and let Evan be Evan.
Because then eventually we can retire 32 and do the little thing, and then it's like Josh is kind of retired but not retired. It's like it's like he kind of is good, but like we don't support him. He's bad.
Yo,
Sports teams love that
Yeah,
kind of
it's-
shit.
I mean, it's the player. I mean, the Jazz still bring Karl Malone back, so
yeah, well, he can't leave the state, so
but yeah. So I just thought it's good for us and it's fun for the area. Obviously, it's gonna get overshadowed with football starting around here, but the Rangers are not anywhere out of it. They played so well at the beginning of the season, and the Astros honestly didn't do anything to take advantage of the Rangers playing like crap for basically a solid month. In the head-to-heads, they destroyed us, but outside of that, they were doing almost as badly as we were. Right now, the difference is that head-to-head series. So the Astros kind of fucked around enough for us to still be there, and it seems like we might be turning the tide a little bit. And then, see what happens in the playoffs. Get some.
how many games back are we of the Astros again?
Of the Astros, so Rangers, Astros, and Mariners all won today. So there's no change in that, which means the Rangers are still going to be 2 back of Houston.
2 back with how many left to play?
And you're gonna have to remind me of what the fuck the playoffs look like now. So is there how many spots to get?
So each division winner, West, Central, and East, obviously,
Right.
gets in. Then the next 3 top seeds.
Okay, that's what I couldn't remember. 3. Okay.
But the way that it plays out, and we can get into this obviously more when it happens. Actually, I could share it, but I'll just blow it up and explain it here real quick.
Yeah, fuck it. And also, I'll just
So
use
basically,
the
the lowest division winner plays the lowest wild card, and then the 2 medium wild cards, like the top and the second wild card, play each other. And then it spawns out from there. But I don't think they reseed. So if the lowest seed, the third wild card, happens to beat the Twins, who will be the 3 seed, the Central Division winner, because they're 7 games up on their division, but they're like 10 games back of the rest of the AL. So I'm pretty sure even if the lowest wild card beats them, they don't have to go play the first seed. They would still go play the second seed the way it's set up. So there's some interesting stuff in there. I believe those are, I think those are 3-game series, the wild card series.
I'm not gonna lie though, I want everyone to understand I'm an admitted baseball casual here. When I saw the Baltimore Orioles with the win-loss record they had,
Oh, no, they're 5.
I was like, when the fuck did this happen? We had that whole
They've been
spiel with that
they've
guy,
been
and
really
I didn't
good.
realize they were good.
They've been really good all year. The Rays The Rays were so good though that people just weren't paying attention to what Baltimore was doing.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then if you think about it, they've been bad so long. They've had all those high draft picks, all those darts on the board to get elite talent. It's paying off.
I like when the Baltimore Orioles are good.
Yeah, they do once or twice a decade peek their head up into the competitive baseball realm. They're not your Royals or your A's or even for the longest time your Rangers, who just didn't ever compete at all.
Who was the ex-Ranger that they had that was fucking crushing home runs for a whole season or so there?
Chris Davis.
Chris Davis, yeah, that guy was.
Don't forget, they also I think didn't they have 1 or 2 seasons of the guy who cost us a World Series?
Yeah, I think Nelly played there for a little bit.
Probably, yeah.
They've had, I mean, there's a lot of baseball, so much intermingling. Everybody plays everywhere, especially guys who play for the Rangers. We don't have a lot of lifers.
Even Michael Young.
Yeah, he got that season somewhere else. Pudge, I mean, Pudge, maybe potentially our best all-time player. He still played for like 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where we're at as far as playoff hunt. Rangers are in it. They're playing well right now. Everything's a little bit more fun. It felt so bad. Those 3 weeks were so bad, and especially specifically those 3 games against the Astros. It was like, there's still 6 more weeks of this. What are we gonna do? So
Dude, we've lost our starting pitcher we traded for, and I don't even give a shit.
We've lost 2 aces over this season.
All from the Mets.
Aces.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck? Anyway, but I like those guys. We'll see what the future is with them.
Well, we also drafted Kumar Rocker after the Mets decided they didn't want him. It's not looking good for us.
So there's a lesson to be learned here.
We're trying our fucking hardest with this pitcher shit. You know what I mean, though? Like, you got to give the Rangers credit. They are doing what they fucking can, right?
Well, they should learn a lesson. Avoid anybody from the New York Mets who's a pitcher.
That might be true, though. But we'll see.
It's like the whole, if you throw enough, something should stick. Something, at least one should stick. But so far, nothing has stuck. The pasta's all just to the floor.
How old is Montgomery?
I have no idea.
He's solid. He's solid. I don't even care if he's not elite. He's solid. I like that.
Mid-30s, I'm guessing.
Oh, fuck.
I have no idea.
That wouldn't be
30 years old. 30 years old. Okay. Born in 92.
Oh, nice. A little bit younger than me. All right.
And apparently nicknamed Gumby.
Okay, cool, Gumby. I did want to say, me and Corey Seager were back on the positive vibes train. I still think I was in the right for having negative vibes, but I think that he's done a great job of doing his end of the deal, and now we're both on the positive side of things. So I'm just happy to make that announcement.
Of basically being the best player in baseball, not named Ohtani. Yeah.
Look, man.
Yeah, he is doing.
He
is doing that.
Hey, the Winning Time documentary is mostly about everyone bitching about Kareem's effort. You know what I mean? That's one of the GOATs. So everyone had to go through it. Seager.
Yeah. What does he say in Airplane?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, exactly. That's like the first episode of Winning Time, actually, too. They put that scene in it.
Yeah, doesn't he like cuss out the kid or something? I remember hearing the clip.
He grabs the kid. Yeah, he grabs the kid and he's like, I've been hearing that crap for blah blah blah. You try to push Lanier, and he names 2 players. Bob Lanier is one of them, and
yeah. Well, I remember in the Airplane, but I heard that in the show Winning Time that they have him like cussing at the kid.
Yeah,
like,
and then after
off
that,
camera
they had him cussing. Yeah, they did. Yeah, I don't think Kareem liked that.
Probably not.
I don't think he liked.
But anyways,
that very much.
So that's an update on where the Rangers actually are. I did want to give you all a brief little heads up about when I went to the stadium the other night for Loteria night. So a couple cool things. I got this T-shirt. This is pretty small. It says Texas Rangers. And then on the back, it's the flags, the Mexican flag and the Texas flag.
Yeah.
Nice. Very well done.
What was cool with this, I don't know how often they do this, but whoever was running this community night or whatever, it was like if you pay a little bit extra on your ticket, you're guaranteed a shirt. So it's not like fucking fight to the door to get there or whatever. So we just like walked to this area in the back corner of the stadium, and it's right next to where they do autographs. So at first I thought I was going to wait in just the longest line ever, but that was just to meet Michael Young. And then we got into like a 2-person line just to go pick up our t-shirts. And they were even offering to sell extras for $15.
Yo, you
Which,
should have hit me up.
I thought about it, but then I was like, I don't know, man. I know how I feel when I go to one of those and the giveaway's gone, and I hate it so much that I didn't want to do that to someone else.
I honestly didn't even check the night.
They probably still have them,
I
yeah.
completely forgot to check. We did not get into the arena within enough time, for sure.
Yeah.
Texas Live is kind of
so
a
all
cheat
that-
code, though. Like, Texas Live really fucks you out of that. You're like drinking over there, like, oh, do we just walk right over there whenever it's ready? The whole fucking thing is gone.
Yeah. We didn't do the whole Texas Live experience, but we walked around the stadium for a little bit. It's only my second time to be in there, so still pretty cool, still pretty new. I still hate the outside of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
It feels like the one side feels like, you know, like everyone talks about like a garage barn chicken coop. Then the other part feels like it's just a convention center you're about to walk into. Definitely not a baseball stadium, but
The food court
when
with the
we did get
baseball
in-
arena in the middle is dead accurate. Dead fucking accurate.
when we got inside, they were giving away the Lotteria cards.
I don't know
So
what
there's
I'm
a bunch
looking
of
at, but it
the
looks
cards. It's basically
Mexican bingo cards.
Cool. Okay, I mean, that's
Mexican
what I
bingo.
kind
And
of
then
figured.
so I draw one of these, and then if that's on, this was a La Mano.
Does
M-A-N-O.
does it have an accent
the-
over the N?
No, it does
So
not.
is-
It does
is
not
that
have
Then
the
it's
N,
La
yeah.
Mano.
La Mano. It's the claw, I
Oh,
guess. But there's all kinds of funny ones. You also get like Martin Perez and La Botella, the bottle. Is
Botella.
that how you say that?
Yep, La
I like that
Botella.
one a
Oh,
lot.
that looks
It's actually
nice.
has Coca-Cola on there. So yeah, there's a few of these. Pretty cool.
I think
One
you
of the
keep
better
showing them
giveaways
to
I've
the
ever
wong
gotten.
camera, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm showing them to
Oh,
both
you're showing them
cameras,
to the.
so-
Oh, right. No, that's. I forgot he's tricking us, Caesar.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
stupid setup where you guys are seeing an angle that's 2 inches below the actual angle that I'm recording on.
That's okay.
Anyways, I just thought that was
appreciate it.
cool. The game itself was pretty fun. Rangers did well; they won. This is where we'll transition a little bit because I also was a little bit preoccupied while I was there. Because on my phone,
Yeah, dude.
I should also say a big thank you to my girlfriend who got us really good seats. We were in section 112.
There you go.
Phenomenal.
There you
Really,
go.
really nice.
Oh boy.
And then part of my time was distracted by staring at my phone watching Texas versus Alabama, because that was happening at the same time, and that's the biggest game Texas has played since the last time they played Alabama,
As you said,
outside of all the OU games.
I should also mention as you're segueing, similar situation. Wasn't at the arena. We went on a little date night though for margaritas at Ojeda's. If you've never been in Dallas, it's Dank sponsor us, and we were enjoying a little dinner. They had no cable rights to the because of the cable thing, the ESPN beef. So
Whoa.
I had to pull that. I had to do similar in the middle of a restaurant. I'm with you.
Yeah, so it wasn't the ideal way to watch that game, but I was able to keep up with it and still watch the Ranger game. I had a good time with both. And then there were definitely people around me kind of checking my phone to see what was going on
Hell yeah,
going on
there
on that
was.
for a while.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah. So that was incredible. That was a really fun game. Alabama's probably not the Alabama that we're used to over the last, 3 to 4 years ago.
Mhm.
Kind of Alabama, still a very good team.
Even
It's
2
good
years
to see-
ago.
They have a little more young.
It's good
you
to
have a
see
little more youth,
Texas.
right?
Yeah. It's a long
The
way.
O line was a little rough compared to what they usually have. I felt like I don't feel like in previous years I would have seen Texas dominate the trenches for any amount of time in the game, and it was a little more even there than I was ready for.
Well, there's some credit
Um,
to the Tech. There's a lot of NFL players, from what I understand, on
Yes,
the
yes.
Texas Longhorn
And-
defensive line.
Yeah, obviously
this is-
Texas is getting better at the same time, so it was pretty much perfect storm. Honestly, last year Texas probably should have won that game, but they didn't pull it off.
Well, the youth of the
Um,
quarterback probably was, and the injury, I guess, more than anything.
Yeah, and then but then So this year they went out and they handled business. They did it. They did it on the road. So of course, a lot of SEC teams their fans probably aren't too happy to see Texas do that before we even join the conference. It gives me a little smile though.
Well, there was
I
definitely
don't
some
know how much
clips
the
of
game-
SEC fans that were going viral for sure.
Well, look, and obviously bad. Can't state that enough.
Yeah.
I don't think that's specific to Alabama. I think that's just the video we got.
That's a very fair point. I noted the same thing.
I
in
think a
some other
lot of
group
young
chats.
18 to 24-year-old drunk idiots are gonna say a lot of terrible things. But just kind of lazy. For anyone who doesn't know, there's a video of an Alabama fan calling some Texas players the F slur and telling them to go back to the projects. And these are kids who went to like pretty decent to rich high schools here in North Texas.
That's true. There's like IMG Academy kids now.
It's like I don't expect the bigoted drunk 18-year-old to be accurate, but it's like, come on, man, at least put some effort in if you're going to be an asshole.
Nuance is not something that is taught in fraternity books.
No, yeah, and well, and look,
let's not forget one thing though, and this is kind of related, but not related, but that ESPN allowed the F slur to fly on live television during a UFC fight.
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah, that was a weird bit. Was that on ESPN proper, or is that just on like the ESPN Plus?
I mean,
it might have been Plus. Yeah.
Either way, it's still that's
on
a live podcast.
Is it a pay-per-view?
Yeah,
or
FCC may actually, if it's pay-per-view, they get away with whatever they want. But
not that ESPN would want that.
Yeah, ESPN still may not like it because they had to pull it away, but that's probably why they didn't have a delay.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was wild. That was one of that was
anyways,
way more flagrant
the game
than
itself.
SEC boys.
The game itself was incredible. It was so fun to watch. It's been a long time since I've had a good outside of every year. Texas VOU is fun. But
and
pretty
then,
much since. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say this is probably a win-win for Texas, like the Texas fan base in more ways than one. Think of it this way: Quinn Ewers, that's a statement game for the guy. He looked great. Had some really good deep balls. Big moment. That's a great thing to add to the resume. That could very well push him into if he can build on it into a good draft status. That way, Texas fans who are waiting on Archie Manning, they don't have to wait too long, right?
But what about the Murphy kid?
There's
people talking about the Murphy kid too. So I don't think that Archie.
I know they're talking about it, but
just because, especially we're gonna have to learn this more in the NIL world, and maybe Arch Manning works, but I feel like there's gonna be times where some guys are just gonna be valued a little bit more than what they actually end up ever being. Maybe Arch is somewhat on that spectrum. Like he may work out, but he may not be like so good that even he thinks he needs to leave. You know?
Yeah. Well, we'll find out because that name's gonna carries a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, if he wants to be a pro quarterback, like I don't think that Eli. I mean, I don't think that they're gonna care about the college thing as much. Maybe when he gets to the NFL, that you could make the different argument because obviously we saw what Grandpapa would do whenever push comes to shove. So we'll see. But no, it is a good thing to have. I thought it was a great game to watch for the most part. I was able to be a part of most of the game. It was really low scoring, really tight, really kind of the game we expected. And then just like that, it was like somebody opened the fucking floodgates and touchdowns.
Yeah, and that's what you want.
Bets were lost.
You get that a lot in football. I know we'll get to it, but you kind of have the same feel in the Monday night game this week with the NFL, where it's like the next day, it's like, oh, wasn't that awesome? And I'm like, I watched that whole game. It was not awesome for a lot of that. there was a lot of slop.
It was
there,
awesome that it ended the way it ended for sure. But yeah, you're right.
For sure. But yeah, so Texas looks really good. I think they moved them to number 4 in the country in the AP top 25 right now.
That's not bad.
Last year in the Big 12, this is a good way to leave it if we can do that.
Just speaking of the Big 12, when they claimed that win on social media, that one was good. That was good. That was fun.
And they might as well. I'm gonna.
It's we're playing in the Big 12. That's who
They're
we're
gonna keep
you
it.
know,
Yeah.
That's
who
where
we're sharing the
historical
money with
record
this
is.
year.
Hey,
Yeah.
I was stunned. I knew this whole thing had been going on. We had talked about in off season, like we could play a who he play for thing with the conferences. I was stunned when I went to go check the Big 12 standings this year and saw the teams I saw. My brain did not process that happened.
BYU, Cincinnati.
I
Who'd you
was like,
forget?
oh shit, this did
Houston
happen
or
finally.
UCF.
All of them, honestly, were just sort of jarring at first. I was just like, fuck, I forgot this happened. And then the schedule, I pulled that up to have reference for kind of, because I guess I would say as a casual, it looks like, and maybe I'm wrong, the Big 12 is mostly pretty damn open. There's some people there you always got to pay attention to, but there's not like a true rival to Texas's talent. It's really more of
No, not
program,
this year.
whatever.
The game I'm most worried about now is just Oklahoma
Right.
because it's just every year that's a
And
concern.
you
I
got
think we
you
should
got to be
be
concerned with
okay.
Kansas State because they always play weird
It depends.
games.
It depends on what
Yeah,
version of
it's-
Kansas
it's-
State you're getting, though.
It's in
I mean,
Austin, so I feel a lot better about it.
That's a big one,
I
and
don't
it's
know.
also
I just can't trust that game.
it's also more about what because I know what you're talking about, Caesar, and you're right. But Kansas State has like a perfect storm that they have brewing, and that's when it comes to bite us in the ass. Do they have a big white boy that can run as quarterback? Does he look corn-fed?
I don't know anything about
Let
Kansas
me,
State.
you know what? I'll
That's
check on
it.
it for you.
Anytime they have that, we are in.
It's
Will
like-
Howard,
Let's look at the last
Uh-oh.
couple of games that they've played.
6'5", 243 from
Oh.
Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Oh, he's
How many
oh.
rushing yards in his first game or two?
2020 he averaged 4.7 rushing yards per attempt with 3 touchdowns.
Uh-oh.
But he's last 2 years he's only rushed half the amount. Last year he only averaged 0.6 yards a carry. So it looks like they're phasing that out of his game a little bit.
All right, I'm looking at the previous results, and it looks like Texas has not lost in the last couple years to Kansas State. But they've been playing.
That's another no. Ooh.
They've been playing a lot of
No,
close
this
games,
isn't
though.
the-
Like
This
for
isn't
the
that
exception
late-
of 1 year.
late odds,
it's been
early
close
2010s
games.
Kansas State Texas games. These are 2 different programs at this point.
All right, but like let's look from 2018, right? 2018 on, Kansas State lost a 5-point game, then they lost a 3-point game. 2020 was a weird year for everybody, where Texas put up 69 points on them. Nice. But then you look at the next year, it was by 4. No, 5. Last year they lost by 1 score. Like it's a tight game, so they might be due for one.
Yeah, I just think Texas is moving in the right direction.
No, absolutely. I just don't want Texas to fall into their annual trap game where they just inexplicably lose a game.
That's the bitch of this season. Is all you're looking at is really more trap games than you are looking at another sparring test.
It feels like Sark. Well, I think next week might be the biggest one. See how they come out against Wyoming after
But that's the
beating
best
Alabama.
thing is that at least Wyoming is. You would hope there's a little
Non-conference.
wiggle room too.
Wyoming, by the way, I think the best looking sports team in all of sports. I love that look. The brown and yellow. The logo is awesome.
It's underrated.
It's like
I don't know if best, but it's
Man,
underrated.
best that's a heavy statement.
I
can't agree with.
love that. I
still feel like
because
Do you like the Padres
because it's so
uniforms?
unique.
It's very
But it
similar.
depends
color
on
scheme.
sport.
I love the Padres uniforms.
Oh
It
god.
depends on the sport. I don't mind Padres because, like, honestly, if it's college basketball, I still think
I don't want-
UCLA has
okay,
the
I don't
best
want-
brand, right?
Yeah, I don't want that brown and yellow in basketball, but for a football uniform, it looks fucking fly. That's my point. But anyways,
Fair.
so yeah, after Texas plays Wyoming, then they get into the conference schedule.
Will Baylor have won a game by then? That's a good, interesting question.
Man, there's some rough stuff going on at the bottom of the Big 12. We'll say that, and that's true of every conference. I mean,
will
even
say,
the SEC is fucking Vanderbilt's in it, so.
TCU is definitely probably the at TCU game is probably the one that needs to be highlighted the most because that's late enough in the season where TCU is maybe they've got some defensive struggles still, but ultimately I think that they had a lot of youth that bit them in the ass against Colorado. And by the end of the season, we could be looking at a much more formidable TCU team.
I do think they'll be a little bit better than they were against Colorado, but I don't think they're much better.
At least good
I
enough.
think they're
Like, you know
I think
what
they're
mean?
taking
Like,
a major
and it's
drop
in
from
Fort
last year.
Worth. and
Yeah.
it's in Fort Worth. So that's where I'm like,
Yeah,
that's,
but who's really the home team there?
and is BYU good?
'cause,
I don't know.
they scare me just because they're BYU and they're
There's gonna be a lot of soaking in
there.
that game.
They're just out there. I don't know what's going on.
Well, no, that field's gonna be soaked. Be real.
I think they're a top 25 right now, though, right?
No, they're not in the top 25. They're unranked right now.
Okay.
They might be ranked in like somebody's poll, but
Yeah,
not.
is it just
not,
two Big 12 teams ranked right now?
No, they're not even getting votes.
You got Texas,
Oklahoma,
Kansas State, and
Texas,
Oklahoma.
Okay, Oklahoma
Kansas
is
State.
ranked. Okay. Oh,
For
Kansas
now,
State
yeah.
is ranked.
I mean,
too.
they did win a game 73-0 to start the season, so they probably should still be.
Yeah,
there.
I just didn't know how down people would be on OU coming into this season still, so that's fair. All right, fair enough. Fuck.
So that might be.
No, go ahead. You finished on the Longhorn front, or we just general college football?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That was probably it for the Longhorn front.
Well, R.I.P. Stoned Earl. We hardly knew ye. Let me have it. Let me have it. Someone got it? Thank you. Yeah.
We don't.
Well, no, it's
But
gonna
we
be a
might
tough
be
year for
leaving
the
this-
Mean Green. Hey, but the backup quarterback had a decent game, and so now we can turn our focus to, what is his name again?
Chandler Rogers.
Chandler Rogers. All right,
So
good luck.
let me
Your
let me
name
tell you what
is cool, but we hope your game is better.
Yeah.
Stoned Earl, we hardly knew ye. Hopefully, maybe you'll still be a backup. Who knows?
Who
You know, get
knows?
some
But
developmental years.
they have a tough test against Louisiana State. It's not in their favor. The odds in
I
terms of
don't
winning
think
the
we're
game.
going to be favored in much this season, to be honest.
Probably no gain. Let's be real. But on the positive side, Chandler Rogers, he put up this stat line in the second half of that football game. He went 11 of 15 for 201 yards. All right, in the air, and then he put up 49 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. So, for one half of football, that's a really great stat line. Maybe he can build on it and look decent against Louisiana State.
All right, well, can
but
he
I'm
play
not-
defense as well?
No, I
Alright,
doubt
well,
it. I doubt
He
it.
needs
But
to step up his game. But we still love the Mean Green. I got it over the shoulder. And look, I know that looks like it's a peace sign, but if you also look at it from a certain angle, it's the. But yeah, I mean, that's, talking football, college football. I watched some other games. Colorado's still primetime TV. Actually, that's a good way to finish. How do you feel about Colorado beating out the Texas Alabama game for ratings?
I'm not surprised. It's
Yeah.
the hot thing.
That's crazy though, right? That's really like. I mean, I
I don't
I
know.
get
that
it,
isn't
but
fake.
I don't think
impressive.
that is that crazy.
I
Texas,
think it is when
Alabama,
you
that was a
consider it's
big deal.
Colorado.
Yeah. and
Like,
it's
Also,
Colorado.
what time was the kickoff for the Colorado game?
It was
think
the
it was-
first game on, I think.
Yeah,
Saturday.
noon or 11 noon.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
you're
it's
always gonna have
11
more people
noon.
than 6 on a Saturday night. That's always gonna be the case.
Oh yeah, I
But-
guess that's fair too.
Because of last week, that doesn't surprise me that Colorado they could have been playing nobody. It could have been a scrimmage against themselves, and they'd have more than anybody looking at it. That's what Dion is right now. Like that's
Yeah,
how big he is.
It's
That's how
crazy that
important-
that he has this effect when all he's doing, at least from a viewer's perspective, he's just standing there on the sideline. This isn't Dion the player. This is Dion the
Well,
coach.
yeah, but he still gives the interviews, and you see him before the game.
Yeah, but like
talking.
if you
You
think
see him
about it,
after
that's
the game
just
He's the
talking.
vibes. He's the
that's
vibes
such a
captain.
small
The
portion of the
announcers-
broadcast.
The announcers
so
spend the whole
tiny.
time talking about him, about what he said already, what he's gonna
Yeah,
say already.
If anything, the person to watch on that team is his son, because his son has been balling out in these first 2 games.
Oh, he's already getting photoshopped into jerseys after NFL Week 1, baby.
Watch him be the next Atlanta Falcons quarterback. He's coming home.
Steelers would look nice.
Steelers, yeah. Kenny Pickett's not very good.
Vikings.
He's not bad. Not very good. You know that he would look good in that throwback jersey that they had the other
No, I feel like it's the Falcons, right?
That
Fight
would be
Club
great.
champion Arthur Smith gets fired, and Prime Jr. go to Atlanta.
That'd be a hell of a homecoming. That's a story right
Dion's not coming to the NFL if he's not going to Vegas or Dallas. So
Well, I don't
feel-
think Deion's coming to the NFL. Period. He's
I
kind
feel
of
like
gone on
Deion's
record saying what his
style could
attitude is.
potentially
towards
work
pro
one
football.
day, but it is kind of one of those
If
because he
it's
is more
just
of like
whatever
a manager.
whatever
of
he
the-
wants to do.
Yeah.
If he wants to go to the NFL, he's gonna get hired at least once.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
but what I'm saying though is he's gone on the record saying like the problem that he has with the idea of coaching in the NFL versus coaching in college, which is the coach player dynamic and the power dynamic that exists in each league. And in his own words, it's like he's not going to have the same control over the athlete at the pro level that he will at the college level.
But understanding
Well,
that's
the
part of
the problem is that you can't take Deion at his word for anything.
Sure,
Deion
but
just
I'm
talks
gonna.
to talk. So
I also believe
he said he was going to
this
build
part.
up Jackson State, build up
mean, he
this
did for
historical
2
black
seasons.
college, and then bolted immediately.
Yeah, I mean, no, he did build him up to be a good FCS school. Weirdly enough, they can't compete for a national title in the FCS level. So I can see why you would want to go away after that point. Because at that
Well,
point,
Well, I mean, you could
anyways.
always wait for him to be promoted, but it took Villanova forever just to become a dog shit FBS program.
yeah.
The real story is that that's going to be the story every week. Is what happened there. Even though that team, we'll see. I mean, they could win the Pac-12 easily. So who knows? They'll be around. Or
They
if it
have
all
the-
collapse,
Pretty sure they have the USC Trojans this week,
like prime prep.
right?
is
No,
USC this week?
sorry, they don't.
No,
They
it's still like
have
another week, I think.
they have Colorado State, then Oregon, 13th ranked Oregon Ducks. Then they have USC at home. And the Pac-10 or the Pac-12, sorry, they have a lot of ranked teams for a conference quickly crumbling. Yeah, it's a tough schedule just based on looking at the rankings of all the squads that are remaining on their schedule. So he could build himself up a nice Heisman resume. Him or Travis Hunter, if Travis Hunter can put up some good stat lines on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, not taking anything away from him, but I knew it was going to immediately happen. That like there was just no way he's going to be able to recreate that TCU game. Was insane. That's just not possible to do that. Keep that up all the time. But it still played really well. So they're fun. They'll be interesting. Not just a whole lot going on in college right now. No crazy, really not too much craziness happening either on or off the field outside of some vague doomsday conference talk.
That's kind of my favorite, though, is the business behind it. But it is a little boring for our format. It is funny to watch play out via news reports.
But
Well, I mean,
I
there
think
is
that'll-
one like kind of scandalous story involving Mel Tucker, but like I don't really know too much about it.
That's fair.
I don't think I heard about this.
We didn't. So Michigan State's head coach got fired because he's being accused
Suspended.
of rape.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not suspended, or he's not fired.
So
They fired him.
on the article on ESPN, he's suspended, and he adamantly denies claims that he sexually harassed Brenda Tracy, a sexual assault awareness speaker, in a statement Monday, and called an upcoming hearing about the claims a sham. All right, that's how
Yeah,
the-
dude. He allegedly assaulted a lady who literally is in like a charge of a foundation for this kind of thing. I don't know what the truth is, but that's next level fucking jackassery and boldness.
Jesus. Yeah, I hadn't
If
heard anything
it's
about
true.
this.
If true. If false, there
If true.
is one aspect that needs to be talked about, and it's the discourse that I've seen. Obviously, it's coming from ESPN, so I'm not take it with a grain of salt. But the discourse being like, "Oh, he should be done. Like he should be done," when people are just like glazing all over Urban Meyer, who's done some pretty awful things as well.
Yeah, that's always the bitch of these situations, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to get into this kind of conversation just very briefly again in
Yeah.
just a couple
Yeah.
minutes.
But
I
obviously,
know
we
that
don't have
Urban
enough
Meyer-
information to.
There feels like
really make it-
a pretty big difference.
There is a
between
difference, you're right.
Sexual
Being a
harassment, assault,
scumbag.
and just being a dickhead. But
Yeah, I agree. I formally agree. I think that
Yeah.
Urban's wife is the one who should have issues.
but I don't know enough about either situation to make a bold enough claim. This is the first I'm hearing of the Mel Tucker stuff, so I'll
Yeah,
have
but
to
thank you,
read about
Caesar, because
that.
I don't want to feel like we're glossing over
And
that
I don't
either.
think I've ever heard anything about that guy.
Well, what is his name? Mark D'Antonio
Yeah, he succeeded Mark D'Antonio.
had just finally retired. He had been their coach for like 30 years.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
Mel Tucker, it was just weird, like him taking over and then getting a big contract
Oh.
extension, despite not really having done much at Michigan State either. Like you look at his resume and you're like,
Well, maybe there's realistic
coach.
expectations for Sparty,
yeah. So
who
I don't
also
know.
is, in my opinion, a little underrated on the uniform scale. Just a little bit.
Yes, I like their shade of green.
They look like a movie, where they don't get the rights to any school, so they just like do a generic uniform. That's what they look like to me.
It's hard. I'm so once you have like the white basketball one with the green script font when Magic was playing, it's just hard. That's an iconic jersey, so maybe I'm biased.
Oh,
That's fair. Yeah, I don't have a big college basketball history.
Oh,
to
he was
drag
one
out
and
of.
done at Colorado. I think that was the big hoopla regarding his hire at Michigan State. Was he didn't do that great at Colorado? He put up a 5-7 record, then bolted to Michigan State.
Because he was probably a part of the staff before, and so then he was naturally one of the guys.
Yeah, but he's a former NFL guy, defensive coordinator, interim head coach at one point. And then he was at Bama in Georgia for a little bit when he returned to college. So that's about it.
There also might be another chapter added to that Wikipedia page. We'll update everybody if that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll definitely have more information by that time.
So that'll just throw up one final little hook 'em horns, and we'll go ahead and pass this rock on to Bethke for basketball.
I'm still gonna do this.
Oh yeah. 1 sec.
Don't worry, I passed it for you, Patrick.
Oh no, sorry, we can redo it. I wasn't happy with my performance here. Let me.
Oh, he's got the glove. Wind up the pitch.
Hey, dude, take a little heat off that.
Yeah, I like the idea that in order to pass you the ball, I throw it as hard as I can.
I had to match the energy. All right. That was also my fidget ball, and now it's across the room, but we'll be fine.
Actually, real quick. This is gonna be a fake out. I'm gonna stop everything and start it back up just to make this easier to track later.
All right. Boom.
Hi there. This week's Pass the Rock is brought to you by microphones. Do you have something to say, but no one can hear you say it? Get a microphone. Microphones. Bye.
We're gonna spend the next
Rangers win.
We're gonna spend
Okay,
the
we're
next
ready. We're ready when
45
you are.
minutes talking about how great Dennis Schroeder is and how he's the world's greatest player.
I love that. That's how we're starting. Just cold starting from right there. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna add that. We're gonna get to that aspect a little bit later for the hoopla this week. I wanted to start with some quick housekeeping notes because I want to make sure that we kind of get all the other little things done, but I don't want to waste too much time when we have such spicy Team USA content to get to. So I'm actually going to do this in reverse order as I have it listed because this is faster. Steve Ballmer made an interesting note that I thought you guys might want to comment on, might share opinions or thought of. He wants to change his season ticket ownership. Now, probably not entirely, but there would be another version of season ticket ownership, I'm sure, along with the normal. And this would be a season pass where essentially the Clippers would let you and a few friends share this account. He described it like Netflix, and only the people that share this season pass, the whatever 4 names you put on this list, are allowed to attend the ticket with the tickets, whatever. I'm sure there's ways to finagle it, and we'll find out. I just am interested in it, and he specifically said this is to target.
Are they cheaper than regular season tickets?
No, yes, I think so. Yes. Because he
Okay.
said something about the price accommodation. I just forgot whether he said it was more
Because
expensive or not.
otherwise, yeah,
Yeah, I
like
think it is
otherwise it
cheaper.
wouldn't make sense. So yeah, that's cool. Because otherwise, then you would just people already do that. You know what I mean? So you have
Yeah,
to
right. That's fair.
incentivize,
Yeah, then he definitely said lower.
I think most people aren't reselling their season tickets. Just some are.
And of course, this is him trying to combat a very specific issue he has, but I think it's a very specific issue that, funny enough, he has because of where he plays. Unfortunately, most of the other NBA teams have just because of the brand. But he's, of course, trying to make sure that Laker fans aren't bombarding his stands all the time, which is fair. There's a lot of stuff he's doing. We'll get into the arena.
Do Laker fans go to Clipper games?
When they play the Clippers, for sure, and I'm sure they do anyway because it's cheaper sometimes. But when
I
they
just
play,
assume they'd be like, "That's not real basketball. I don't watch that."
no, because honestly, I bet a lot of them go because it's cheaper over the years too, right?
Well, I don't think you get a lot of Yankee fans going to Mets games, but they don't share an arena, so.
Yeah, and
I
Balmer
don't
talked
think they're
about a
much
lot
cheaper,
of that.
honestly.
Balmer talked about a lot of that, and it was really embarrassing too. There was some stuff I didn't know. He was like, yeah, you ever see the Lakers playing on Sunday, or Saturday in the morning? No. He was like, you ever see them playing during football season on primetime hours or whatever? No. I died laughing. I never thought about it, but it was funny. So anyway, interesting thought on the new pass. That's all I wanted to get into. The whole new arena for the Clippers is still about a year away, and so we'll get to that when it actually matters. Um, Los Spurs cut campaign. Um, I found that one to be interesting and not necessarily something that's like big revolutionary, but it was interesting for 2 reasons for me. One, this is a really interesting and nice reserve guard, potential fringe starter for any potential team that needs one. And he'll probably be on the low. I also found it interesting too because this was something that Oklahoma City and San Antonio found themselves in. And when I was making my own lineups and rosters to try to kind of track who I felt were, if the playoffs started tomorrow, who would be playing in the playoffs for the Spurs and the Thunder, and who wouldn't, and who would be on the fringe, right? Who wouldn't even be in consideration. And there was just so many names, so many useful players that I thought, at least on the fringe. And I was like, how are we going to make this? And you saw Houston ended up cutting Garuba and Ty Washington. The Spurs have made this decision and apparently have to make a couple more, I think, to get their roster trimmed down appropriately. So Spurs might end up putting another rotational player on the market soon. So it's good for the fringe teams, for the Miamis, for the teams that might load up the cap this year. I think the only team he can't legally go to is Phoenix because I think that rule still exists. I think he can't play for the Phoenix Suns unless he plays for someone else for a considerable portion of the season first or something like that. There's some weird way to get around it, but so campaign back on the market.
How low do the rosters have to be? Like 14 names?
So you're gonna have 13 guys and 3 two-way players now, I think. Is that math? No, there's 18 people. I think there's 18 people on a roster. Yeah, there's 18 roster
20
spots
right now,
this year.
so
yeah, there's 15 guys I think you have on the active, or you can have, and then you have 3 two-way contracts. Yeah, because that expanded this year. But anyway, so interesting little note. Do you miss campaign already?
Yeah, I lost so many hours of sleep wondering who was going to fill that 7th through 11th spot on the bench.
And before anyone gets mad at the Spurs, they basically just got a second-round pick out of all of this. So it wasn't just weird management. I know that could be easy to look at, but there was a second-round pick obtained in this transaction. Same for Oklahoma City when they acquired their guys.
I think the Spurs get a lot of benefit of the doubt with
That's
their moves.
True. Sometimes people get a little crazy, a little confused. We're not going to comment on it, but Kai Jones and the Charlotte Hornets are well on our radar right now. just everything about the Charlotte Hornets is in concerning territories. Kai Jones had an interesting video that went viral. Some people were like, "Yo, this is out of context." Some people were like, "He's on drugs." Some people were like, "This isn't how drugs work." And I don't know the truth, right? I don't know the truth. I'm not going to get into it. He could also be
This isn't how
prescribed the
drugs
drugs
work.
that people were alleging that he was on. So there's a lot of rush to judgment. However, one thing we can't say is there's some more stuff that came out today. So we'll see. Charlotte Hornets, what the fuck's going on? To the last bit of not fun news before we get into some other stuff. The NBA is hopefully going to announce a suspension and hopefully an indefinite suspension. I don't know if they go as far as banning in this situation. But Kevin Porter Jr. was arrested, I don't know when, a couple days ago in New York City with some pretty gnarly accusations of domestic violence. I have also seen some weird reporting about there being like a rebuttal to that from the females from whatever the complainant, or I don't know how that all that legal term works. I'm bad at that. Sorry, Bobbit. If you're listening, but you fucking better be. Anyway,
He could be watching.
well, he definitely better be watching. I only tell people YouTube now. I want them to stare at this. Look at this fucking hillbilly shit right here. A patch. Look at that patch. You like that patch? Anyway,
Beautiful.
so this is a serious topic. I just don't. This is not a serious podcast all the time, so it's hard to get into this range. All I have to say is I hope like hell the NBA does the right thing, because there seems to be enough evidence. I think it's also important to note that they're going to go through an investigation process before they can do anything formally. So this isn't something they can just rush to judgment on like everybody wants them to. They'll deal with that the same way the New York City legal system is going to deal with it. And the only bitch of it here is, of course, last year we dealt with this, or 2 years ago, I think now, we dealt with this. And Bridges had to take a leave of absence for a year. He didn't have nearly the same record and amount of issues in his past. He had a couple, but it wasn't this bad in this subject particularly. So doesn't look good there. We will update as necessary. And I didn't vet it, but shame on the Rockets if you're trying to trade this guy. And LOL to any team that trades for him. If that happens.
I mean, the Browns got Deshaun Watson.
And I get it. But if you're gonna go, there's one thing I have to say as an NBA fan. I know
Aroldis
that
Chapman pitches for the Rangers.
that's fair, but there's one thing I need to. That this is kind of why it bothers me here, right? Is the NBA likes to take these moral high grounds
in the
so
house.
often. Well, they like to take these moral high grounds so often, but then they'll do stuff that sort of undermines that and undermines the good work they do. Not
only is it domestic violence, but it's domestic violence technically against another employee of the same organization.
Not really. Kesare doesn't play in the WNBA.
Oh, she's not in the W? I thought she was.
She was that was, unfortunately, people just saw that in her bio, but she was barely in the W.
Okay.
She's not
Not
good.
that it affects the story at all. I was just giving the NBA a harder time for.
Yeah, no, that's
having
fair.
to deal with it.
It would have looked like that. Yeah. Either way, you can just look around the league at all the coaches. There's like 4 of them off top that are still coaching and are going to be in the Hall of Fame despite some charges. So I hope that they'll do the right thing here. I don't expect it. Any further thoughts? It's not a good subject. But...
Rockets bad.
No. Yeah, the whole situation is bad, and hopefully, just hopefully that the victim in the situation is able to recover, right? Because I heard of what
Yes, obviously first and
the
foremost.
detailed reports of it are, and it sounds like that was obviously it's terrible.
Yeah, it sounds.
So you just
like I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, I don't know what the exact facts of this case are, but if they are true, there's going to be very little way for him to get around this.
Or if it's even remotely half of what you hear.
Yeah. And just yeah. So you just thoughts are with the victim in the situation, and you just kind of hope that the whole thing figures itself out. And
And don't be weird content creators. We don't need the whole. I've been seeing this from a lot of the Twitter accounts, and I guarantee you, if I Google it on YouTube, we've been
Is he
seeing.
talking to me?
No, not us, not us. Not unless you're going to do this, but please don't. I don't think you would do this.
No.
We're getting career retrospectives already on this kid. That's
Oh,
give it a
jeez.
rest, guys. It doesn't matter if he blew his career away or not. That is the least important part of this conversation. Because
Yeah, that's not as funny as the Aaron Rodgers 2023 Jets highlights. To tease later.
exactly. That is
That's a
tease
lot more.
that we will move on.
That's a lot
to.
more funny.
Yes. Final bit of housekeeping. I need to explain some rules to you guys, unfortunately, but I will do this as quickly as I possibly can.
People just can't be flying through the air like that, Jackie.
Yep, there's been some rule changes.
Add that to the soundboard, by the way.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
Foul. No, 2 fouls.
So there is now new rules in place to try to keep NBA stars from sitting out games. The first one, or this is all sort of a summary from Bobby Parks, who does a hell of a job breaking this kind of stuff down. He said that
Bobby Sparks.
had this been a part of the league last year, 11% of the league would have been impacted, and 6 players would have been impacted specifically. Just to give you some data, a little cold data. This is called the PPP plan. Swear to God. Just let that one sit for a second.
Why?
Because the other one was called the PRP plan, and I guess this one just slightly changed it, so then they just didn't think about maybe the timing was bad.
Way to go, NBA.
1-star player can be DNP'd unless deemed officially injured. And I'll explain what that means in a second. There is now also no more long-term shutdowns like we saw with Damian Lillard, John Wall. If y'all remember, he had his little handshake agreement with the Rockets a couple of years back.
Yeah, that one seems a lot more difficult to
Oh,
parse out, but
I found the gray area, buddy. Don't worry, because they put the gray area there. It's the NBA. They, what is the Star Wars thing? Only the Sith deal in absolutes. That is not how it works with the and they are firmly the Jedi over here. Team doctor is who makes the officially injured ruling. That's always been the case. It will continue to be the case. Here is where the new rule comes in. An automatic investigation can be triggered into these situations. And essentially, there's 3 things that do it, but I'm just going to list off the rest of this stuff. And because it's basically any of these things, if you flag any of these things, they can automatically investigate your team physician. So, first of all, a star is called anyone who is an all-star and all-NBA player within the last 3 seasons. 3 seasons.
I'm going to do a brief interruption here.
Hmm.
So now the way I'm seeing this is fans are going to get together and be like, we want to force this team to play this player, so we're going to make him an all-star. Or that, the bits that teams or fans do sometimes and just get some spare guy in, like, teams aren't going to be able to sit that guy because the fans decided to make him an all-star. You can't let the fans... You can't let the fans be involved
the fan
in
vote,
this.
The fan vote is a very small part of the process, and it only has ever really gotten a couple fluky things to happen. For the most part, it still keeps the best players in there. And injury ends up adding so many all-stars. It's kind of like the Pro Bowl. It's not as bad as the Pro Bowl, but it's trending a little bit more towards the Pro Bowl than I'd like it to. Maybe this changes that. But yeah, the voting rules, the issue with the voting rules with the NBA is that the fan vote is the first thing that comes out, and then it just takes all that reaction, but the actual process isn't how they go. So you won't be able to arrest any stars on national TV unless, of course, deemed officially injured. Teams have to balance between their rest loads between road games and away games, which is essentially just the league saying that you should do these rest days at home games and not away games. And your resting players have to be present and visible, which is, I guess, sort of the Kyrie Irving rule, because he did it with Dallas. No, Mavs fans won't know what I'm talking about. But in Boston, he famously just fucked off for their whole playoff run one year when he was injured. And
I mean, that's common in a lot of sports, though. When guys are like on the injured list or whatever, they don't always. Like sometimes in hockey, they'll be in like the press box or whatever up top, or the owner's box, but that's about it.
So yeah, I don't know what that really is, more than maybe just the NBA is like, hey, can you guys at least be there to sign some fucking autographs? That's kind of how I took that rule, if I'm being honest. Pre-approved back-to-back allowances for oh yeah, that's right. There is a LeBron rule. God love him. We knew there was going to be a LeBron clause. So here's your official LeBron clause to this rule.
Is this part of the gray area?
I guess I wouldn't call this gray area because this is literally written into the laws. It's basically an actual LeBron clause. And if you think I'm kidding, let me read the clause. Pre-approved back-to-back allowances for players 35 plus or that have played 34,000 regular season minutes or 1,000 games played total.
So just
LeBron and Chris Paul, who also had a hand in some of this. So
okay.
That's the reality of that. Here's the gray area. Finishing in the gray area. Personal reasons are still allowed, and there's end of season flexibility. So the potential of still tanking is kind of there. It looks like they might be more lax on this rule towards the end of the season, is how I read that. And here's the biggest piece of gray area. The most important piece of gray area. I call this the Kawhi Leonard clause, because I am almost certain that Kawhi Leonard could be the one who does it. The team takes the fine, right? So the players can still technically disagree with the medical opinion and sit out anyway.
It's interesting that the team takes the fine.
Right. Now, my guess is that if someone was to do this,
they would all be team fines.
Yes, but essentially what we're saying here is, in this situation, the player can basically be like, nana nana boo boo. I don't agree with what your physician says. My doctors say something else. I'm not playing, and you have to pay the fine. Now, in all fairness, there might be a fine in place for the player due to their contract or another part of the CBA I'm not familiar with. But I'm interested in that loophole. I'm also interested because I think the Kawhi Leonard issue is interesting because Kawhi Leonard not only would most likely do this, Steve Ballmer is also very likely to be like, I got you, Kawhi. No big deal. I'll take the fine. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. That's the gray area I look at. But specifically, things like Dame Lillard shut down, potential Dame Lillard shutdown this year if a trade doesn't happen. Those would all result in that automatic review, and then the NBA can take action. My guess is that investigation would also keep players in check too. So maybe that's not as much gray area as we think it could be.
Is there anything that says, like, for those who, I feel like one of the gray areas would be that you could just suit your guy up, play him like exactly 1 minute, and then just sit him the rest of the game.
Yeah, a good friend of ours, Jesus, said that in the group chat when it got announced.
Yeah, I mean, but you'd be less a guy in your. I mean, not that they use every guy, but sometimes you need every guy. So it's a risk for sure.
I mean, then you would just play him if you absolutely.
My guess is, and this is what I told Jesus, I'm pretty sure that would trigger the investigation. Doing that right there would trigger the investigation.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Like,
based
what
off,
reason did you have?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure based off this information, because one of the examples that Bobby Marks used in his story was a couple years ago. Kawhi Leonard and Doc Rivers actually are basically the inspiration for this rule, because there was a point where Doc said that Kawhi felt great and that he didn't need to sit anymore, and Kawhi sat anyway. And so that was partly what inspired this rule. So,
well, I mean, just in this scenario where, like, say, you suit him up, you play him like a minute, maybe like the first minute or two of the game, you just sit him down and, like, all right, you could just I feel like you could just make something up, right? Like, it's a disciplinary issue, or
We'll see, dude. We know people are going to get
yeah.
creative. But remember, for every time that someone gets creative and gets away with it, there's a Jason Kidd spilling ice on the court. It's not always. It's just an experiment, you know. I don't think. I also want to say I don't think these are harsh rules. These kind of feel like rules that they're putting in that they hope will solve this issue, but that they can grasp a little bit stronger hold of if need be next year if it doesn't actually work.
It does. It feels like it's tough to define a lot of it, and I still think the All-Star thing is such a weird bit. Like, so hard to.
They had to make it expansive though, because if they just did all NBA, that would be tough. That would be really tough. That's a much more exclusive group.
Yeah.
So I think they knew that All Star at least gave them a little bit more wiggle room. But ultimately, like,
I almost wonder if it would be better just do like, I guess I was gonna say like the top 2 or 3 slots on your salary cap or whatever.
you would hope. For the most part, I think salaries have gotten to a better place where that could kind of work too. But yeah, I mean, you would still obviously have like rookie contracts. That would be weird because all those guys. So they would still have to figure out something. But they might add more clauses to this as they go. That might end up being one of them as we move forward. Because I know the Spurs fans on Twitter.
Yeah, this is almost assuredly not the final form or whatever this is.
Yeah, and so Spurs Nation dug up a little fun fact, and this was in Marx's thing too. But
About how many games the Stars have missed over the last 30 years.
no. Although, yeah, I guess that's fair. But no. This is about Wemby. So Wemby is not a part
he's
of
not
this,
an
right?
All-Star or an All-Pro.
Right. He doesn't qualify. But if he makes the All-Star team this year, I think that he would start qualifying after the All-Star break.
Does it kick in during the season
Yeah.
or after the season?
So I think it would kick in this season. So that's just a funny caveat to if
I don't know how much rest he's gonna need, but
I also don't think he's gonna make an All-Star game his rookie year because I think people don't realize how hard that is.
And how few slots there are just in the NBA.
Like how many times people have ever done that. I mean, maybe he does. He's a rare talent, but it's tough, dude. It's really tough. Like that's not super.
Yeah, didn't just to bring it back locally, didn't when Luka his rookie year wasn't he like top 2 in voting and just didn't make it?
Probably in fan voting because of Slovenia, but yes, the media did not vote him in, and coaches.
It's just there's so few spots, it's impossible.
And if it was a healthier year too, I mean that's really the thing is maybe if there's a lot of injuries, but
anyway. Like you have to already be all NBA basically.
Mm-hmm. All right, well. That is the end of the housekeeping notes. I did want to finish on announcing that the WNBA is starting their playoffs tonight. The Connecticut Sun already beat the Minnesota Lynx in the first game of the night, and the Aces in the Sky just tipped off right now. So 1-8 is Vegas, Chicago Sky. Vegas is probably the best team in WNBA. Should be a sweep. But the Sky had a lot of turmoil this year, traded away their pieces to us. They actually had to fight to get into the playoffs just so that their lottery pick wasn't conveyed to the Wings. And so they had a lot of turmoil. Their team was the one that had the coach dip on them and all that shit. So I kind of expect them to pull out a scrappy game, at least in one of those games, maybe. But should be an easy one for Vegas. Liberty Mystics is the 2-7. Mystics couldn't be more beat up if they tried. If they were healthy, they probably would have been the 4 seed, not the Wings. So that means they should be a good test for the Liberty, but ultimately should be a beatable team. These are all our best of 3 series, by the way. Like I said, the Sun got game 1 over the Lynx, won pretty handedly. Obviously, I didn't watch very intently since we're doing this, but I'm not too surprised. Lynx have looked like one of the best teams in the W. At times and sort of bouncing back and forth because of their youth. And then the matchup we'll all be watching starting Friday. Dallas Wings, Atlanta Dream. Essentially, the Dallas Wings are playing a younger version of themselves in the Atlanta Dream. So this will be a fun test of where they're actually at. You would hope that they would win this series. I don't think that they have enough maturity and age and chemistry to do it in a sweep, but we'll be looking forward to that. I will also put in the caveat, if they lose in horrific fashion, that could be not great. We definitely have some young star players that we're still wondering if the chemistry will work, and we know how that goes. So, big test for the Wings starting Friday. Watch the WNBA. Now on to the big stuff, unless you guys have anything else.
Continue on.
On to the fun topic of well, I guess last week. It's kind of died out because I think it happened, Friday of last week? Or Sunday? No, Sunday was when we officially did medal. Team USA did not medal at the World Cup. And I'm okay with it. I made a pros and cons list. That's fair. It is a womp womp,
right?
It is a womp womp.
They haven't medaled in a non-Olympic event in a long time, isn't that right?
I think just the last 2 World Cups, but
I mean, just any non-Olympic FIBA event. I feel
those are the only 2 that I think they even. The rest of them are played by guys like Langston Galloway, and no disrespect to Langston Galloway, but y'all even remember him playing in the NBA?
I don't know if
Don't
I've
even
ever
know
heard
the
that
name.
name in my life.
All right, well, you know what? That's what I'm talking about. So, no, with all due respect, the World Cup and the Olympics are what we were really worried about here, and the World Cup not so much, right? That's part of the list, but I'll get into the Team USA thing. Let's announce the rest of it. Germany won gold, so that's a tough beat for Maxi Kleber and all the Mavs fans for life talking shit about Dennis Schroeder before this. Dennis Schroeder is now the best player on the planet. Congrats to him. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules.
You just force him.
I just force
Kind
him.
Sorry, LeBron.
Yeah, sorry, Ron. Sorry, Curry. Sorry, Nicola.
Yeah, see, I don't know if Braun's been the best player in the world for a while.
No,
now,
but he's hit that age where since he's still playing, you just out of respect you have to just say the name. It's like the
oh, for sure.
It's
And
just,
I mean,
you have
he's
to
still
just
at a
say it,
very,
even if it's
very,
not true. You
very,
just have to say
very,
it.
very high level. It's still a very, very high level.
The Serbs got
at
silver.
least when it's going well.
Serbs got silver. They were a little sad about that. I was a little surprised, honestly. Germany was really impressive. And Canada got a bronze, which was not as awesome because it came at the hands of Team USA.
Was Dirk
And
there?
Dylan
Did they
Brooks
show
just
Dirk?
got to be a hero.
Dirk was there throughout most of it. I don't know that I ever saw his part of the celebration. I saw a lot of the German.
I would assume for him that's
celebration.
almost as big as winning the NBA Finals was seeing Germany win that. I don't know. Have they ever won that before?
No, I don't think so. No, because I don't think they
that's
had
gotta
much
be
of a team
huge.
before him too. Yeah, I mean he's a big part of why Germany has the culture they have in basketball. So I hope, I hope it was a great moment. But I don't. Yeah, now that you say that, I don't think I saw Dirk's reaction. But I did see him a lot on the sidelines, so I know he was there somewhere. But yeah, my pros and cons list to Team USA no longer being this dominant. We'll put it that way in the world ranks. Now, remember, there was a time where we weren't.
And to be
dominant.
fair, they also same with the last World Cups. This isn't new.
Yes, this was but we were kind of thinking, is that an anomaly? We'll get it back. That's not as big a deal. Now it feels like this year, especially, we sort of have a different reality we all have to accept, and that's why I made this pros and cons list. So I'm gonna start with the pro. Start with the positive side. Globally, things have changed to where the talent gap is closing in. I don't care what Twitter says. I don't care what they think that our fifth string people can do, because clearly they can't. I know that the World Cup isn't as important to us. At the same time, we weren't the only country not playing their best players. Sure, Germany was pretty much at full staff. I'm sure they still could have used Maxi, but they had pretty much everybody else. The Serbs obviously could have used Nicola, but they weren't hurting without him. And Canada was playing a lot of their best players for the first time ever. So it really isn't that great of an excuse for me. And I'm just really happy to see that talent gap close in a visible way. Not just in a Team USA lost this, like Team USA got beat.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what that talent gap is really like based on where you're headed later, because this is
Oh yeah. I get it.
we've seen what the talent gap looks like between our our A tier, maybe not our S tier team, but our A tier team.
Actually, I'll get to that in my second pro as well. So, but yes, that is definitely a thing. Um, the World Cup is treated like the AAU trip. This is my first con. We're treating the World Cup like an AAU trip, and that's really cementing that stereotype for American basketball. And that's what I don't love. Not psyched that we treated it like an AAU trip. And I'm going to get into some of the details of that in a couple other
I
cons.
was gonna say, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
But essentially,
For all us non-basketball heads,
the AAU circuit is, at this point is
that's
amateur
for anyone who doesn't
basketball.
know. That's youth, yeah, pre-college youth.
Heavily
pro basketball.
heavily sponsored either by athletic corporations like Nike or by former NBA players themselves. These AAU teams kind of range from all over the place to top tier elite to some really goofy rich kids that got together a basketball team, if I'm being honest and frank.
Sounds fun.
So the AAU circuit is a hot topic in international basketball because a lot of times that's what international players are also talking about, or international fans are talking about in the talent gap closing. They're talking about how we keep getting worse and worse because our players are more into this AAU thing. And essentially the AAU is being accused of sort of making these prima donna superstar stereotypes that everyone thinks about with American basketball. And it's not always wrong. It's just unfortunately I feel like it's really glossing over how many guys don't end up acting like that come up through that AAU process. I don't like the AAU process myself. I think there's a million things that could be done better about it, but this isn't the best way for, I think it's a little bit of a stereotype. At the same time, it's hard to get away from that stereotype when you treat the World fucking Cup like it. When you just get a bunch of dudes together and you're just vibing and you're not playing defense and you know what I mean. You're just taking turns tossing the old ball around. So that was what my
Yeah,
opinion
or it's
was.
more vacation than a basketball
Exactly.
tournament.
Hanging out with friends. That's basically what I mean. Second pro, and to get onto what you were talking about earlier, fans globally give a fuck about the World Cup. Like this means a fuck ton to Latvia, to Serbia, to Germany. You know what I mean? This means a shit ton. Even to the host country that was terrible. The Philippines was absolutely thrilled to have everybody there. This is a good thing for us ultimately because internationally we still want these fan bases to fall in love with the game. In fact, there was a crazy Serbian pro basketball game you guys should look up where they played in an open air stadium, I think, to start their season, and it was just flares all over the place.
I feel like I saw something about that.
Yeah, and it was just
I think I saw some clips.
Shit tons of people with flares.
Where NBA players were like, "Yeah, no, that's not for me, man."
That's true. I'm not saying we need to do that here either, because the Lord knows there's some other stuff about European fans that we don't want to imitate. But
I mean, I like that. I like a lot about Korean and Japanese baseball is that it's got more of the European soccer vibe. Like it's just a little bit rowdier, you know.
Yeah, you want to have fun. At the same time, I don't need you yelling weird shit about the players' girlfriends. I was actually
No, but I would definitely rather have the fans all singing songs versus some dude pressing play on a fake organ doing the same fucking pop beats at me for an hour straight without a break.
Absolutely. And I hate going to the NBA arena and hearing how many fans actually root for people to get injured actively out loud. That shit still blows my mind anytime I see it. Maybe we got an issue in Dallas. Maybe we got an issue in Dallas, but people need to learn how to fucking talk.
Mavs. The Mavs crowd's just the worst.
And I was always the lower.
I feel bad for the Mavs fans because the crowd there just gives them a bad look.
Yeah, the snobbiest.
Come in second quarter, leave third quarter, act like an ass. Yeah,
they show up in the second quarter, leave like in the middle of the third quarter. Yeah.
So yeah,
that's the making of Cuban's own.
That's my positive. I'm very happy to see the fans globally being excited. Again, there is some annoyance, especially with Giannis feeding into this fucking world champions bullshit. There's some arrogance about the international world that I'm laughing at right now because I'm like, you guys know what's coming. You know it's coming, right? But anyway, we'll get to that in a bit.
Ready?
Second con, there was 3 players who did not finish the tournament. Brandon Ingram left 2 games to go. Jaren Jackson Jr. and Paulo Banchero did not play in the last game. That is not awesome because that only further cements that AAU bullshit. Especially because
those known player decisions.
they were alleged things that were very vague with stomach issues and whatnot. I didn't love that.
Too fucked
and
up after the loss.
Especially because Brandon Ingram would have left after he saw his role diminish from starter to 6-man and then struggling to contribute even in that capacity. So it's frustrating, especially someone who really holds a lot of stock in Brandon Ingram as a talent. That's just frustrating to see. But ultimately, it is what it is. It's not a complete referendum, but it does start to make me worry a little bit.
Sorry.
You're good. Third pro. This one actually is kind of what you just hinted at a little bit. American fans need to come to the reality that even our best competition is still going to have to earn it. The Serbian team at full power can probably can hang with our Avengers LeAssemble squad that we'll get to later.
It's like, I just want to see it because I've never seen it before.
And I would too.
We've never really, in my life, since I was 5, the 96 Olympics probably the last time, maybe 2000, probably 96 Olympics is the last time we really fucking rolled it out there that I remember.
So this is one of those things where I'm really excited. I would love to see Serbia be full strength. I mean, of course, Nikola could win another title and say, "No, I'm good on the World Cup or on the Olympic thing." Who knows, right? But beyond just Serbia, Canada.
I'm kind of surprised he plays for FIBA. I didn't even think he liked basketball. So.
Oh, that guy's an interesting guy. I think that we make that joke a lot, but he clearly cares a lot, because
it's just different.
He's done a lot of actions, and that's just rare. We're just not used to guys like Nikola in sports, in American sports, I feel like. Because he just does the work, and it's just kind of over. And then he's just partying in Serbia for a whole off season. He's back for the
Well, yeah, and he's he's a little bit more open and actually honest about, like, I got shit to do. Like, you want me to tell you that I'm just doing basketball literally every second, but I have a life.
No, and he's done all he needs to be great at what he does. So there's no apologies needed. Canada and France, I don't know that they're going to be in their peak performances next year, but their futures are certainly very bright. I mean, they both have under 25, probably 5 to 6 high level under 25 guys at this point. So that's not nothing. Germany is pretty much in the same boat since Franz Wagner's young as hell. They'll still have to get some talent around it. Lithuania still has Domantas Sabonis to lean on. And Australia is going to be the interesting one. They've got a few young guys. We'll see how they end up developing. And Spain, who's still sort of searching for Spain's still sort of searching for their next NBA superstar. I think they have a harder time because most of the great Spanish players don't really want to fuck with us. Historically, they just haven't gotten a great shot. I think we also have. I think there's a lot of cultural issues that we struggle with the Spanish players coming over to the NBA. Because you've seen a lot of their really great players have come over and they've been Rudy Fernandez was pretty good. Juan Jose or Navarro, is it not Juan Jose? Juan Navarro, I forget what his middle name is. You saw some really talented dudes that just were like, yeah, I kind of had some success here, but fuck it, I'm dipping. I'm headed out back to Spain to play for my home country, make some good money, and I'm the star team player. I don't have to be a role player and all that bullshit. I don't have to play defense over here, all that shit. Just happens. So it's
practice.
That's kind of why Spain is never really. I don't. They're struggling at least for that NBA player, but they're always going to be competitive. My was this third con. Grant Hill. I'm a little worried about who took over. Grant obviously has a lot of history. He's a Hall of Famer. Would have been one of the best players of all time had he not got injured. I firmly believe that. At the same time, he's a nice guy, very formal, great head of the operation. Is he going to be harsh on Steve Kerr if he feels like Kerr didn't do enough? Is he going to be harsh on these players the next time it comes to picking the World Cup? Because, as we're going to talk about, the Olympic roster may not be so hard to put together. The World Cup is going to be where he really makes his money and where he needs to have a little bit more detail. Maybe tryouts need to get back into being a part of this. Whatever it is, let's just make sure we're giving ourselves the best Team USA. Because ultimately, it's not even that the guys got beat, in a way that I felt was honorable. They really weren't very competitive defensively throughout most of the tournament, and that's pretty troubling, especially for a bunch of American players. Like, come on, we can't shut people down defensively when we have all the best athletes at every position.
We'll say, I guess if there was a World Cup for us to do poorly at, it's the one where all the games start at 3 a.m. local time.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a positive in that, and like I said, it's not doom and gloom. I just don't want us to also be putting out a bullshit product. I want us to be doing our best, knowing what the World Cup is to us and to our players, and knowing that the world is probably going to beat us more than they won't in that tournament. My last pro. This is still a great experience for our young players, and I think it's a great vetting process for the future stars of the NBA. So I think Anthony Edwards won big out of this. I wish I could say there was more guys. Maybe Mikal Bridges, he had some moments. There's a lot of other guys that I was just a little frustrated in, and I think that kind of showed in the lack of chemistry. There was a lot of who's going to do it now kind of thing. It was mostly just felt like it was Ant's turn to do everything all the time. So that's why I think it's important for Kerr or whoever's going to be coaching the World Cups to sort of have this vision of understanding that you're grooming the next best superstars as well. Like, this should be a stepping stone in the process of being a superstar in the NBA. And my final con, they let fucking Dylan Brooks slut us out in the last game, bro. What the fuck? Of all people?
Yeah.
Of all people? That's the only bitch I really got.
I didn't even know the guy was Canadian, honestly, until the World Cup got announced. Oh,
That shit pissed me off, man.
He went off like it was like the last chance he'll ever get to play basketball.
It was nasty. I was so embarrassed to check that box score. I eventually went back to watch the game.
It's gonna be so fun for him this season, going through the NBA, just talking shit about the USA all year.
I agree, and honestly, Houston needs him desperately. So if he's gonna bounce back, it's good for Houston because they paid him a lot of fucking money. But yeah, so the Avengers team, late was it like I think it was Monday, something like that. Shams tweeted out that LeBron was wanting to put together a super team in the 2024 Olympics. Mostly naming Curry and Durant, but there was more names in the actual report. Tatum and Dame Lillard and all that you could be. So I put together a little bit of a roster to give you an idea what that might look like. The guards would be Steph and Devin Booker, most likely. I guess it depends on how big a lineup you play. The forwards would be LeBron, although I guess LeBron would probably be only a starter I think LeBron would probably be a starter, but he'd only play like 20 minutes or less. I think Kobe did similar in his last Olympics, where he basically or maybe even does exactly what Kobe did and just comes off the bench for a little bit.
You think if you're running Team USA, Kobe would be your marketing point of like, this guy who wanted it more than anybody also wanted this. You should want this. They use Kobe for everything else as inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you use him to build up Team USA? I guess the World Cup's different than the Olympics, but
it's different, and I think that LeBron is just not going to let that go. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to play the whole fucking 40,
I was thinking of like Grant Hill or whoever's like putting, like when you're trying to get the team put together and motivate the guys to get them to care, like, where's your fucking mama mentality right now, asshole? Like, I don't say it all the time in your post-game interviews. Where is it?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have any issues at all getting this team put together. I think that Curry and LeBron have been flirting with this idea for a long time, and this is the easiest way to give it to everybody. Durant should go. I don't see why he wouldn't.
God forbid they wouldn't have done it this year. What do they all wait? They're like, oh, you know what? We need to be 4 years older.
Well, I think there is sort of this Mexican standoff when everyone knows that everyone's going to ditch on the World Cup, no one commits. So I think I mean, whether when they want to admit it or not, I think, maybe knowing that what was the chicken or the egg? Did Nicola back out or did they? You know what I mean? Obviously, it was both, basically, but. That's the thing I don't know how to make the World Cup a more important pressing thing compared to the Olympics. It's just unfortunately because the dream team happened during the Olympics. Now it'll always be the Olympics. That's all I can do.
Well, and the World Cup's newer, right?
Yeah, I don't know when they started the
like
FIBA
significantly.
World Cup. No, I don't think it's that new. I think they may have just started doing it a little differently. Because FIBA has been around since like the 40s or 50s or some shit. But yeah, so that's the interesting news for the Avengers Assemble squad. The only other note is that we're still trying to lure Joel Embiid, so potentially it could be either Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, or Joel Embiid as your starting five.
1950.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. We just didn't really do anything with it. We probably really had nothing but.
There you go.
Worst players.
Can you tell me who has the most FIBA World Cup titles?
Spain?
USA, baby.
Tied with
Spain?
Yugoslavia.
Oh, the former Yugoslavia.
He read that somewhere.
The former Yugoslavia.
A nation that doesn't exist.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, they used to run our ass out of the gym. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, the Yugoslavia.
I'm guessing that's when we were sending amateurs.
It was, yeah. They beat Doug Collins. That's how we got here. Is they beat Doug Collins in a college game, and then the rest was history. Oh, no, they beat David Robinson. Doug Collins happened before that. Doug Collins had an embarrassing moment that they say was rigged. David Robinson was the star player of the amateur Team USA. They got beat. And then the next time we put it together, it was the Doomsday Squad.
Dream team.
The rest is history. But yeah, that's the end of the hoopla this week. Super teams. Super team coming soon. LeBron going to finish his career off with a super team, whether the Lakers can help him or not. So shout out to LeBron for doing what he always does best.
LeBron James.
LeBron James. Lakers. LeBron James.
Lakers.
The SEO is great. Oh, fuck. I got to grab the ball.
We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with part 2 of this week's Pass the Rack.
This is Pass the Rack.
I think you've had enough. No?